Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to the Diaspora Project. Happy New Year. I think this is the first episode we recorded in 2023. So, welcome to 2023 as well. Hope you guys listening at home are all doing fabulous, as I am, as always. I'm your host. I'm Abi Okanse, and you guys already know what it is. We're bringing you interesting discussions, talking about people's lived life experiences, and pull up a chair, get a drink, settle down, and get ready to enjoy this conversation. Now, you guys, I'm really very excited about this particular installment of the podcast because I've got two very, very special guests with me ready to, give you guys the lowdown on some really cool stuff. I am joined by two individuals who, the story of how we met is a whole movie, but we'll go into that in a little bit. I'm joined here with Andrew and with Linda. How are you guys doing?
We are well. Hello. Thank you for having us on. It's great to see you again.
I know, it's good to see you guys. Now, they're going to be chatting with us about their experiences of doing something that is, I think, of envy of a lot of people who are in the diaspora. A lot of people, we have this sentiment of wanting to relocate. We have this desire to think, okay, we're here, wherever we are in the diaspora, and we have this desire to maybe go back home. Andrew and Linda have actually taken the steps to kind of start that process, which is super exciting. And we're going to dive into what that has been like for them, some of their journey, and what's been like for them along the way. But before we do that, you guys already know we have to figure out, if they fit the vibe, what's going on. So, Andrew, Linda, if you guys were stuck on a desert island and you could only bring with you 3 items, what would those 3 items be, and why?
You go first.
Okay, let me think. 3 items.
Don't think too hard, though.
Okay, I'll have my mobile phone. I don't want internet access. Use the Wi-Fi that's there. And then I would want. What else would I want? Let me think. Oh gosh. I don't know. Do I go kind of campy, and do I need safari kits and blankets and
just
knives and
three items.
Do I go more like, I need a knife to cut coconuts and I'm not sure.
I always think it's funny, there's always 2 camps of people. There's the super survivalist, I'm trying to actually stay alive, and then there's people
so the phone for sure, definite, that's a definite. Let me think. Maybe I'll have my Bible with me.
Cool.
And then maybe I would have, I don't know, what else? And then maybe, oh gosh, this is harder than I thought. Sorry, oh gosh. I'm looking around the house thinking of something I could bring. What would you do too? And I'll think of the last one.
Okay, all right.
Go on.
If it were me, I'll bring a football.
Okay.
Okay.
You've never had that answer before. I'll bring a football. And I would bring a machete.
Okay.
And the third one, I would bring I had it in my mind just a minute ago. The third one. No, I just had it in my mind. I just had it. The third one would. I literally just had it in my brain. I thought it was a good answer. Football, a machete, and a. Okay, I'll just go for a. No. You go.
Sorry.
I love this. I love this so much.
Okay, so a mobile phone with charger. Okay. So that's part of one.
With a charger.
With a charger.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to charge it, but.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of island you guys are thinking. Like, you guys are thinking Mauritius, and I was thinking, like.
No, because it's going to be Wi-Fi, isn't it? It's going to be IT savvy. It's going to have a satellite I can pick up. And if I get really tired, I can call an Uber Bolt to come and collect me when I get hungry. But then at least I've got my Bible to read. And then the last one I think I'll have would be an abundance of of fruit, of tropical fruits that I can just have.
You'd bring that with you?
No, that they just come in abundance, so I don't get hungry. That I can just have just there.
Anyway, my third object will be a telescope.
Okay.
What are you going to look at?
Look at the stars.
You just look up and look at the stars anyway. You don't need a telescope.
No, it's a telescope, man.
But you can use my phone. You know that.
They're my
she can look up the telescope on her phone. You can.
Well, I've got my phone anyway, so that's all good, isn't it?
There you go.
I think by far that was the most interesting answers I've ever heard.
That was hard work.
The one that I'm interested in is the football. Are you just gonna be there by yourself? Keep you up in this, like
just play keep 'em ups, man. You know what I mean? Just play keep 'em ups.
He'll be goaler. He'll be the goalkeeper, the midfielder. Just
That's what I used to do when I was a kid, man. Just play on my own with a football.
Yeah, playing your
own. On the desert island, you're on your own.
Yeah,
go back to playing on your own. You know what I mean?
What's that film called with Tom Hanks in it? Is it Castaway? And he the ball's called Wilson, and it's like his best friend. I feel like is that the vibe you're going for here? You're like,
yeah, man. You know what I mean? Man. You're just kicking the ball about on your own. You get good though, innit? You get good on your own.
Yeah,
you get good at football.
Get scouted from the side of this island, like, oh my gosh, come and play for Man City or something like that. That is so funny.
This is it. You know? Yeah, man.
I love it. I love it so much. That's so funny. Oh, you guys.
We should put the question back to you.
Oh, you're something. I don't think I've actually answered this question myself. That is a good point. I would bring. Oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm getting a taste of my own medicine here. I think my laptop. My laptop is my life. Like everything I do is on my laptop. With Wi-Fi, and obviously the satellite will be there. I'm with you, Linda. Everything's gonna be like set up for me to just go there. I think I'd bring a guitar, something musical, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy some vibes. And then a boat. I'm not built for a desert island. I'm not built for a desert island. Let me leave after a while. Oh, that's so funny. You guys are it's so interesting, I think, the story of how I came to meet you guys, how we came to be connected in the first place. Now, people make interesting connections in all kinds of different places and scenarios, but I think ours is particularly interesting, particularly funny. It's a little story that is set in Cairo Airport, of all places. Do you guys recall that wonderful event?
Every bit of it,
that was crazy. That was, wasn't it?
Every bit.
I mean, God, it's interesting because I haven't thought about it for a little while. But shall we? Because I mean, we were on that flight because we were told. I think the day that we were going to travel. I don't know. I'm sure we told you this, Abby. But the day we were going to travel, our small travel company that were through which we booked the flight told us that we had a flight going out there, but we had no flight coming back. Right.
Just for a little bit of context for our listeners, we actually were talking about flying to Ghana. We met in a whole series of events that culminated going to and from the UK to Ghana in the summer holidays. But go off, tell me the rest of the story, Andrew.
Yeah. So we had a couple of weeks to Ghana, during the summer holidays last year, August, and which was great. We booked the flight. It's our third trip to Ghana, by the way. Third trip to Ghana. So the idea was to go and look at land, but we can come to that later on. So we booked the trip, return ticket as you normally do. But then I got a text from our travel company, one of these little small companies. You find them on the internet, and you just go for the cheapest price, which is not always a good idea, right? Now I suppose you learn your lesson. But as I said, we got she rang us up. She sent me a text when I was at work and told me to ring her, right? So I rang the company, and then they just said, yeah, we've got a flight going out there, but we've got no flight coming back. But we don't need to worry. We should still travel out there, right? And when we're out there, they will work something out in the background, so we will have a flight coming back, right? And effectively, that's how we happen. That's how we happen to be on the flight with you. And that just come to my mind because if our flight back to London had not been cancelled, we probably would not have met you.
Which is so crazy.
We probably would not have met you.
So that was the first part, and then we got to Cairo. I think it was early hours of the morning. I can't remember exactly. And we were just supposed to be something like that. It was a couple of hours, and then our flight to Heathrow was early hours of the morning. But then they said to us, oh, apparently there was no hotel that had been booked, because they're supposed to be go to the place, get your vouchers, and then you'll go straight to the hotel and sleep. But that hadn't been organized. And so we were kind of going around, waiting around. Nobody knew what was going on. And we were just at the airport for hours and hours. And then they said, okay, they've got the hotels all organized, just follow this man. And there were just groups of people just following people.
Oh man, I'll never forget it.
It's like crazy. And then you're all standing around waiting for them to call your name, as if to say like you're just a child, hoping that you're going to be called. And so they call us, and then it's literally as all of us, you guys go over there, you guys go over there. And we were just walking the airport, just walking around the airport.
We were following we were following Egyptian
it was just bonkers.
Egypt Air workers. We're just following
Let me really
remember that.
Because it was just too much. So anyway, they've managed to find us a hotel. So they've given us, they said, follow this man, follow him, get into your coach. So we've gone into the coach, and they said, oh, anyway, you have to be back here for, is it 7 o'clock, whatever
6
time?
or 7 in the morning.
7 o'clock. We got there at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we were thinking, but we were told we were going to eat, but not a big problem. But we were told we were going to, yes, you're going to have dinner and you're going to have breakfast, and you're leaving at 6. And so you do the maths, and so the dinner is now ready for you. So okay, then let's just go and see.
About 1 in the morning.
It was 2:30 in the morning. Let's just go and see. Maybe we like a little bit of rice, bread, just something like. There was a 3-course meal, buffet service, as much as you want.
And that was great.
Absolutely delicious.
Can't knock it, even though it's 2:30 in the morning.
It was really good. It was really good. I remember that. I remember.
You remember? And then they said to us, breakfast is at 5. So then you start doing the maths. You think, okay, it's 2:30 now. Well, no, it was about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock by then, isn't it? We need to still sleep and get up and be ready and be back here for 5 o'clock for lunch, for breakfast. So we had about an hour's sleep, I think, isn't it? Hour's sleep, had our breakfast, but you guys didn't come for breakfast.
We did not come down for breakfast. That experience from our end, it's so funny hearing it from your guys' perspective. And I know you guys, the stress started a little bit earlier in the trip, but I just remember landing in Cairo, similar experience, just random people were just yelling at me, not in English, just being like, go here, speak to this person, do this. And we were like, what's going on? Following strange people through the airport, just being like, what's going on? But in all of that, chaos and trauma, I guess that's where the solidarity is strong. That's where we met you guys, and we were like, let's all suffer together. And for me, the funniest part was we got into that coach, like you're saying, Linda, and at that point, I remember we were just speeding through the streets of Cairo at like 2 a.m. And I was thinking to myself, we're in a blacked out coach, and I don't know where I am. I don't know where I'm going. And just this feeling, I remember I looked over to my left at somebody, and the look she gave me was the same look I was giving her. And I was like, are we being trafficked? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening?
Wow.
But what time?
No, because you remember, because he had our passports, and you want us to go on the coach. So think, hang on. So you want us to leave our passports?
Yes, they had. That's the thing. They had our passports.
We don't know where we're going to, and you're just telling us to go on the coach. And so you're having that kind of anxiety, like, am I better stay? I'd rather stay in the airport, because at least that way I know my passport is there. I don't know where I'm going. Like you said, we could have been trafficked, and they've got our passports there.
Absolutely.
British passports and all kinds of American and Canadian passports that they can just flog if they want.
But it's an interesting thing, because going back to the dinners, right? Because obviously we had a late night dinner, and then we had a breakfast. The food itself was, the care in the hotel and all the rest of it was, I thought, quite good, right? And I suppose the idea there was for Egypt Air to make recompense of the fact that they made a slight cock up, right? So and no doubt, I'm sure they've got insurance for all of that sort of stuff and all the rest of it as well, So because through that whole episode, towards the end, I was thinking, is the brilliant dinner, the meal, the room, which was a 4-star hotel, I think
something
it was
like that. Yeah, it was nice.
It's actually maybe a 5-star hotel. I don't know. It's actually pretty good. And was the breakfast, was the care from the from the getting on the coach onwards, right? From that point, was that would that make me want to fly Egypt Air again? the care wasn't bad. It's actually quite
You're asking
good.
the real questions here. You're like, is it qualify what I went through?
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Because we pay for what we got, isn't it? At the end of the day, we wanted a cheap flight, and with all the commotion and the stress it caused. Yes, the whole
trauma. Yeah.
We were only there for an hour. We couldn't even enjoy the hotel experience. You're there for 1 hour. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was nice. It was nice, but it was not necessary.
But then we met you and your brother.
Yeah,
and it made it all worth it. No, Cairo. I feel like that experience, the Cairo Airport experience, was a movie to me. Like, it was just, oh, what a time. But I mean, you hinted at the fact that, before all of this stress and commotion, you guys were in Ghana for a very specific reason, and that was that you guys, again, like we spoke about earlier, you guys are thinking about potentially relocating to Ghana. So I'd love to speak to you a little bit about that and kind of, see where, what led you to that. So what was it that kind of, prompted this desire for you guys to think about relocating back to Ghana?
What was it?
I think the very first time that you went to Ghana, because I'm half Ghanaian anyway, so I have been in the past, but Andrew went the very first time, and it was the first time I had seen somebody that you care about.
This was 3 trips ago.
Yes, the very first time that you went to Ghana, 3 trips ago, and the way you felt so comfortable amongst the Ghanaians, you felt at home. And you can see like someone's shoulders have gone back and feel more settled, and you're walking around and everyone's saying, "Hey, my brother," and I like your bald head and all this business. And
people said that.
Their cars would go up and they'll come back again and said, "Oh, I like your head," because his head is shaven. And they were like, "Oh, this is really nice." I'm like, "Hello, I'm here too. Like, how about me?" But it was nothing. It was all about Andrew. It was all about Andrew. And I thought, wow, this is nice. And if you can be in a place of home and see how it makes you feel and see how people receive you, then there's a way that this could be a place we could be at. Of course, my family already are from there anyway, but just seeing how you settle in was a no-brainer, really.
I'm not sure if it's all about me.
It was all about you. Of course it was.
But yeah, the first time we went, which was a year or 2 before lockdown, something like that. Yeah. And so we went with a charity to do a little bit of teaching, right? So we went to a fishing village called Busia, which is Cape Coast, just past Cape Coast.
Yeah, about 4 hours.
Like that. That was an interesting experience. We did that in I suppose it would be called a middle school. In the UK, some places they have lower, middle, and upper school. Even though that system's gone out of the UK, over there they still it seems to me that they still have those age groups in some areas. So we went and we did a bit of volunteering in the summer vacation, during at one of their sort of summer schools, if you like. And that was interesting. That was the first time. The second time we stayed. The second trip we stayed in Accra. Was it in Accra? The second place we stayed. Yeah, it was. Second time we stayed in Accra, and that was purely and by then we had decided. I think, to be honest, before around about the first trip, we thought, this is a place we could probably relocate and live.
Wow.
And I've got a friend as well who I work with who is Ghanaian, who's been building shops in where's he building those shops again? Not Takrady, Tema. So he's building some shops in Tema. So we've been having those conversations with different people for quite a while. But just going back to what Linda was saying, during the first trip, it was in fact, what I said to Linda, my family come from Jamaica, right? And basically Ghana, especially Accra, all over, really just felt like a big Jamaica.
Really?
Right? That's it. Seriously, just a bit. It just looks the same, feels the same, just like a big Jamaica.
Wow.
It's like a big. Honestly, just feels the same. I mean, I've only been to 3 African countries. Just Egypt, Morocco, even though that's North Africa, and Ghana. I've not been to any others.
Yeah.
So maybe Nigeria, Togo, and all the other African countries, maybe they feel just the same as well. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a black country. Maybe all black countries feel the same. I'm not sure, because I've only been to one, what some people like to call sub-Saharan African country, even though I don't really like the term, but you know, there you go. So around the first sort of trip, we were like, yeah, this is a place that we could live. And then we did a lot of research around house prices in Ghana, land prices in Ghana. And, you know, effectively, you know, you can buy and build, and for less than what you would pay for a house in London anyway, and most parts of the UK. So it makes it real if you can afford to live a life that you want to live, you know, a lifestyle that you want to live. And especially if you can, and then we had we've had ideas about you know, possibly building a school, possibly building an orphanage, or adding some sort of value in that manner, right? So we've had conversations around all of that as well, and we're working out what that might look like now. So, you know, when you put all of those things together, you realize that you can actually live in Ghana, right? Or probably a lot of different African countries, but we're talking about Ghana in this case, that you can live in Ghana and have a lifestyle that you probably better than what you'd have in the UK, right? So then why would you not want to do that? You know, why would you not want to have sun all year round? You know, why would you not? Why would you? And I really seriously think, right, that if African heritage people traveled to most parts of Africa and didn't watch television and believe what they read in the media, or so on and so forth, and went and looked for themselves, right, you'd probably have a lot more people wanting to relocate from Europe back home.
That's interesting. I mean? That's really interesting. And there's so much in there what you just said that I just want to I think it's so incredible, like the whole sentiment. I'm so glad that you went to Ghana and people enjoyed your bald head, Andrew. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy for you. Life goal achieved. But yeah, is it you know, this desire to relocate and seeing like the lifestyle that you could live in Ghana, is that born out of a real love and desire for Ghana, or is there like a frustration of, you know, what life is like in the UK, that, you know, the lifestyle and what could have been?
You go first. Go on.
Yeah, a bit of both, because you're here in the UK and you're working, but sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes what you give is just not enough. And sometimes it's just because you've done as much as you can do, but you're just not necessarily valued because of the fact that you're Black. And so when you go to Ghana and see other Black people and see, life is hard, but, you know, life is hard anywhere, really. And just the quality of life, that you may not have much, but your quality of house and quality of life is a lot better. You know, so many of my family members, they have come from Ghana to work here, days and hours of years of study, of working to send money back home to build a house. When you look at their houses there, mansions,
Serious.
You know, drivers, you have we were looking at thinking about getting a apartment in Accra, and they were saying, okay, here is the boys' quarters here. I thought, imagine that. There's no place in the UK that you can have, looking at a house and they've got the section called the boys' quarters, where you can have your help, as a room for your extra help, whether it be for the children or your driver. It can't happen. The whole lifestyle is completely different. Your garden has all the food and crops that you need. And so you find yourself that you may not have much, but you're still living a good life. And then you come here and you find that you're just working and there's no appreciation. There's a few that value you, but there's a happiness isn't quite there. That's what I would say.
Sure.
So and there's a couple of little things as well. I think some people that might listen to this might misconstrue the term boys' quarters as well. Right? Some may not, but the bottom line is call it what you want, call it a paid helper, you know, whatever the term is. There's different, but it's more a paid helper, a groundsman. You know, these are the terms that people may use in the UK rather than saying boys' quarters. But effectively, you're talking about the same. It's the same sort of role.
Exactly.
But I think, you know, jumping off what Linda just said there, you know, I think part of it also is where do you want to where do you want to invest your time and your effort and your resources? You know, do you want to everyone's different, but I think for us, we decided that for the next part of our lives, we want to invest our time, effort, resources, and all of those things into African people. You know, that's I mean, definitely as a teacher, all right, if I'm going to work with young people going forward, I'd like to work with African young people if I'm going to go down that route. I mean, we've got loads of other plans, potential plans. One might be to open a bar, might be to open a guest house. It could be, you know, we've got the money to do all of those things. But you know, part of, you know, if any African heritage person's going to go back home, then you know, I'd like to think that somebody would think about also what value they're going to add as well, right? You know, personally, I think that's quite important, right? You know, living in the UK, you know, there's this term called the rat race, right?
100%.
So, and don't get me wrong, you've probably got something similar in African countries too. You know, I'm not saying, you know, if anyone listens to this, then I'd like them not to go away thinking that we're trying to say it's all plain sailing and all easy living in Ghana or in any African country. That's not true. And you've got to work and grind and graft wherever you go. But it's to what end? Right? It's to what end and what value, what worth, you know, if you think, if for you, there's worth grinding and doing all of those things in the UK, fine. For us, we would prefer to do that on the African continent and in Ghana, and use Ghana potentially as a jumping off point for other bits and pieces of work we could do elsewhere on the continent, right? So that's that's the difference, you know, for the next stage of our lives.
That's incredible. I really love that sentiment, and I think it's so important what you guys are saying about adding value and actually giving back. I think sometimes, I mean, we've just passed Dirty December, and it's great, you know, the diaspora goes back home, you know, people are with their families having fun, but sometimes there's an emphasis on what can I get from Ghana, what can I get from this experience, what can I take, what can I receive, and I think that's what you're saying, is sometimes we need maybe a bit of a mindset shift, that it's not all about what can we get, but also what can we give, what can we contribute, like you guys are saying, having ideas for different, you know, projects and plans and things like that. I think it's so important. I think it's really, really incredible.
There's one other little thing as well. You know, we were obviously socialized in the UK, right, or in Europe or whatever, right? So we've spoken about this at length as well. So if you relocate, wherever you relocate to on Earth, to some small extent or large extent, it's about leaving your European mind, your British mind, that mind that's been socialized in the UK as much as you possibly can in the UK. I mean, obviously you'd like to leave it all in the UK, but you can't, right? But that's important, and developing a new mindset for where you're going. Right? That is really important. You know, all of those values, you know, I mean, values of professionalism and all the rest of those things is important to take with you, right? But there is I believe anyway, that there's a new mindset that you've got to take on, an extended or different set of values that you've got to take on that align to the place where you're going in terms of how you do everything. I'm not talking about accepting unprofessionalism. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about taking on a new set of values that work with the place where you're going to.
Yeah,
you know?
That's really incredible. Again, so important that in this drive for the diaspora to move back home, I think we need to be careful, like you're saying, that we don't also bring with us our, like you're saying, our Eurocentric or British or whatever word you want to use, cultural pieces, and try and and trying to like fit that into this new place that you're going, where you're gonna have new experiences and things like that. So key. So yeah, this experience for you guys, it seems like this is really something that you guys have a lot of heart for and are really passionate about. Have there been any challenges for you guys, you know, in your thinking about relocating, about even like you're saying, the mindset shifts? Has there been anything that's kind of surprised you that you thought, you know, this is actually quite challenging, I didn't expect it to be as challenging?
So not so much nothing that I didn't expect. The one challenge is around land, right? So it is around land purchase. I think we spoke about this a little bit, didn't we? But just around, just around purchasing land, making sure that the person who is showing you the land, or the person who says if it belongs to this person or that person, that it actually does, right? I spoke to a lot of people here in the UK who are Ghanaian about that specific issue. Obviously, we watched a lot of stuff on YouTube, so we were quite aware that when we went, and that's key, to make sure that all of that is in place, right?
Yeah.
So that's because we found some land when we were out there. The challenge came around doing the searches. That's the challenging bit. And again, whoever's thinking about buying land in Ghana or any African country, just understand that the highest litigation in court is around land.
100%.
On the African continent. It's all about land. Or that's a fact. So you've got to understand. You've got to be diligent when you are looking for land on the African continent, and don't let any money change hands until everything is crystal clear. For me, that was it. There's nothing else. But I was expecting that. So it becomes a longer process, obviously, if you're trying to make sure that things are to use that word, kosher. Right?
Yeah.
It becomes a longer process. What about you, love?
Yeah, I think I agree. It's just you can't have the time expectations that you would have, that I'll go there, I'm going to buy, I can move in the next couple of months. It's going to take time. It's going to take time to do the research. It's going to take time to do all those things. It's to build the trust and to find that piece of land, and that is, once everything's has gone through and everything is fine, that period takes time, and it's understanding the traveling back and forth, understanding the time taken. Does it mean that we have to be in Ghana more while that's happening, or how long should we be in Ghana while the process is happening? And so it's understanding those, not barriers, but just understanding that you have to be more realistic with the time element of things. Sure. And that it won't necessarily be as quick, but if things want to be done properly, you have to be able to be patient.
That's really important. So I'm one to want to do things quite quick, right? and what I realize is that this is going to be a longer process than what you think, and you've got to be okay with that, because at the end of the day, it's better to take your time and do things right than it is to try and buy land and you don't know who you're giving your money to, to be quite honest. So you need to be very diligent, and look, you just take your time and do it, make sure that it's done right. So that's but that's we understood that going out, basically.
And we've had conversations about, okay, how long could we stay in Ghana next time? How could that work with our work? And looking at other things when we move along in the pathway of what we're doing, like, how much time can we actually commit for this bit of what we're trying to do now? And so it's like, do we stay in Ghana for a month? Do we stay for 6 weeks? Do we stay, how can we afford to live for that period of time? And so they're the questions that we're now having and trying to see what we can do, because you go there for a holiday, it's lovely, but then you think, okay, or should we not go? Should we wait and hold on to that money and put that towards when we do go, we've got more money to move around with? So your mindset changes all the time because of the environment that you're in and where you want to be. And even in the UK, you're still at the mindset that, yes, we're in the UK and we still want to move to Ghana, but at the same time, we don't want to necessarily spend lavish money and where we could be saving money and just trying to get to the next level, you know, because you can get comfortable in a space where you might think, oh, actually, I don't want to go. And I don't think that would ever be the case, but you want to still do things while you're still young and active, and be more proactive as well.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, so we've had long conversations about how, you know, how practically, you know, we're gonna live, right? So how are we gonna earn money? How are we gonna, you know, all of those things as well, you know, in detail really need to be worked out. You know, how you're going to earn a living, how you're going to earn money, and it needs to be. And I know, you know, you watch some YouTube channels and people pick up themselves and go, and it apparently just all works out fine.
Must be nice.
And that's great if that does. That is absolutely fantastic. But I think for the majority of people, they've got to be a little bit more organized than that.
Sure.
Right. So you know, so that how you're going to sustain yourself and earn proper money. Right. What is your business plan?
Sure.
Or life business plan, whatever, however you want to phrase it. So those are the things we've specifically been thinking about. You know,
that's incredible, and that's a really nice segue into another question. Is obviously, like we've been saying, this is a desire that a lot of people do have to, you know, move to Ghana or whatever country it is that they're planning to relocate to. But you know, sometimes, unless you have the know-how or you know, like you're saying, you have access to watching different YouTube videos, it can be a bit daunting to start that process. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about relocating, maybe specifically to Ghana, and they're kind of at the beginning of that journey and they're trying to, you know, go through all these challenges and, you know, land and where you're going to live and how you're going to work? What would you say to somebody like that?
Go for it.
I would say that they would need to, go to Ghana and just feel the country. You know, is this where I really want to be? Because you need to go around and just understand the country. You need to be able to ask questions, people who live there, families that are there, that have lived there already. You need to be able to get information, because what you don't want to do is just jump into something really quickly because you're in the moment. But over time, this is a longer process. So they need to take their time, go to Ghana, experience Ghana, see Ghana. Is this where I want to be? And then if this is where you want to be, now start asking questions with people, start getting your information together and start slowly planning what that would look like for you. But go to Ghana first and see Ghana. You got to go. If it's Ghana that you're thinking of.
Guys, Ghana's lit. You guys should definitely go. Ghana's lit.
I mean, definitely go to Ghana a few times, because you know you got the honeymoon stage, right, which is effectively a holiday. Absolutely. Or 2 holidays, right? But to be quite honest with you, and that's great, right? And as you said, Ghana is lit, right? It's a great place. It's a great place to be. I think it's a great. We think it's a great place to be. We know it's a great place to be, right? But nonetheless, the honeymoon stage, you got to forget about that, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to go, then you've got to specifically understand how are you going to maintain yourself, right? That has got nothing to do with a holiday, and that's got nothing to do with a honeymoon season. The honeymoon season has to be finished, right? And then you need, in my opinion, you've got to think very practically, how are you going to do this, right? You know, that's the level of conversation with yourself that you've got to sit down with a pencil and a paper and work it out. How are you going to do it?
Be practical about it. Yeah,
that's the bit that a lot of people may not want to do. And also, so you got you know, Accra's great. You got great beaches. You got you know, the people are beautiful, friendly. You can walk anywhere. You see, this is forget about what you watch on television about the African continent, because you can walk anywhere in Accra just any time of the night or day. Right? We did it. You can do that, more so than London. Seriously, more so than central London. It's safer, right? And you would never know that, because these are not the messages given to us growing up in the UK on BBC or ITV or any other station. You know. So there's loads of great bits, loads of great bars, loads of great restaurants. The food's amazing. All of those people are great. You could take your salary on whatever from the UK. If you can work remotely, great. All of those bits and pieces are great. You can buy an apartment, you can buy that. All of that stuff is great. You can set up a business. All of that is great. But what about the bit going after the honeymoon period is finished? What are the bits you don't like? Right, because you've got to weigh up both of those bits, and if you can put up with the bits that you got to figure on balance, the bits you don't like, you may not be able to put up with the amount of rubbish on the street and on the beaches in some places. Right, because there is a lot of rubbish all over the place. Not so much in East Legon or any of the nice bits, Cantonment, those bits, but what about on the beach? What about there? What about let's be honest, can you put up with that? Can you put up in some place, not the nice places, but the other places with the open, with the gutters that may not have the grills on them? Can you put up with that? Can you honestly, can you put up for, maybe having to give police a bit of money when you go to certain places in certain parts of Ghana? I will never give them anything, right, personally, but that's part of the culture in some places. So can you honestly put up with those bits?
It's like do those with your eyes open,
got to be honest about that.
And and just following on from that is understanding the culture, like you say, because the honeymoon is finished. That's a month, that's 2 months, that's 3 months. But what's your 6 months plan? What's your 5-year plan? What will you be doing in 3 years' time, and where will you be getting that money from? Because as an African person, people will be looking to say, what are you bringing to our country? What are you going to bring to make a development for us? And so well and good when you you got your money savings that can last for about 3 months or 4 months, but then what next? Because you can't just in the house just flittering your money around. That's not going to last very long. What are you now doing for the next 6 months? What's your plan? What skills are you bringing to Africa that we might need help in, or we might need to some of whatever you have over here? What is it that we don't have here that you have in your country that could work in our country? What skills do you have that we need in Africa? And that's what the mindset needs to be, is I'm coming with a skill, I'm coming with something to bring to Africa to make better, because we do it like this here. Well, maybe we can have that here. And it's that kind of, what can I do to bring my country and make it as better as it could be?
Absolutely. I guess in the end, it's basically just about being sober-minded. I mean, right now, Ghana is the hot place to be. All the celebrities are there, everything. And it's like we said, Ghana is great, but it's, again, wherever you're trying to go to, whatever you're trying to achieve, just go with your eyes open and really assess the situation that you're going into. Now, you guys, I have one final question for you. This is the question that is I can feel my mom's voice in the back of my head when I ask this question. How are you guys with the local languages? How is that going?
Okay, so I tell you what, to our credit, right? We started taking tree lessons before we went, or after we came back. Can't remember now. Before the first time. Was it before the first time? I can't remember. But anyway, we started taking tree lessons, right? We went through the whole lot.
Wow.
We need to keep it up and revisit it, right? But we did start to take the lessons. A great teacher in the UK is on Zoom online. But yeah, I mean, we had little. I mean, she's probably one word better than me.
One word.
But through the lessons, I've got to say, because I'll be honest, maybe you shouldn't speak negatively, but I've never been good at languages, right? But I must say, the tree began to make sense when we were doing the lessons. The tree totally began to make sense. And what's weird for me is that there's one or two words that are basically, I recognize them in, it's just from Jamaican language.
Yeah.
It's just very, very weird, like words like uno, right? I can't remember what it means, tree. but I know the.
I like the spicy attitude.
What am I talking about? What am I talking about? The meaning is the same, because as soon as the teacher said it, I go, that's so. What I realized is that Jamaicans speak. We think the word. I grew up thinking that the words were just made up words, literally just made up words. Like uno and other words like that. Just that's not in the English dictionary. but there's a reason why they're not in the English dictionary, because they're Ghanaian or they're Nigerian words. They're Tree or they're, you know, these are words from where we came from. And that's the bit that I only learned that through taking the Tree lessons, you know.
Yeah,
so
incredible.
I found that I just found it quite interesting. I'm sure it's the same with in Brazil, you know, because you got a lot of Angolans that went to Brazil and in other you know, in other South American countries and Caribbean islands like Creole and so on and so on and so forth. So so we did, but you know, obviously we got to carry the lessons, and you know, we got to carry on doing that, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that for us to be able to have a home, we have to be able to speak the dialect. We have to be able to communicate. We want people to communicate with us. We can't have an expectation that everyone will speak English, even if they can. But it's just a bit more of a respect. It just shows that you want to be part of the culture. And also, as soon as they hear your English accent, their price has gone up anyway.
Hey.
You know, we're here. We don't have plenty of money. We're just trying our best. But if you hear us, you'll think, that's it. We're going to get rich.
Exactly.
You need to know the ones. So when you hear if you can speak the language, then you can get to the core, and you can be treated like a Ghanaian and not like a tourist. You can be treated with respect. Not saying that they don't respect tourists, but I mean in the sense that you understand, because we're living here now. We want to be part of the community. So we want to have a communication with anybody and feel that we can all speak one language, because we're here with you. We may have taken us some time to get here, but we're here now, and we're all the same. Absolutely. So I think it's important to speak one language and not English.
And not, did you guys hear that last part? Not English. I love it. Listen, thank you guys so much for taking your time to have this conversation with us. Like we said, it's something that it's really interesting to meet people who are in that process of relocation and kind of seeing live what it's like for you guys. So thank you so much for giving us that insight. Before we close up, do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
I'd just like to say visit Ghana. Just visit visit any part of the, you know, African continent. You know, if you're if you're Black British, you know, if your parents are Ghanaian, you've never been back, do go. If you're Nigerian, then visit Nigeria and somewhere else on the African continent. If you're from anywhere in the Caribbean, North America, anywhere, you know, if you're African American, do go and visit. Don't believe the hype, you know. Don't believe all the images you see on. Africa is a massive continent, right? And you know, it's huge. I saw some of that. All the world's landmass can fit onto the landmass of the African continent. So do go and, you know, just, you know, do go and visit. Just go and have a visit.
Yeah, because believe it or not everybody lives in huts. Believe it or
not. yeah, exactly.
Live in huts, and I think also just go holiday mind, but also go with a mind that you're not just going to buy the first thing that you see, because then you will get stung. So make sure you just take your time and do your research if you feel like, I want to be here on a long-term basis, but don't just jump in with your money, because you will get burnt, you know. So take your time, find the right people that know and have been through it, because everyone's got a story. Everybody's got a story. So take your time, and it will work out. You know?
Absolutely. Listen, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for this time and opportunity, Abby. It's been brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. I already told you, when we blow up and become multimillionaires, then we can buy up all the land we want to. But thank you so much for Andrew and Linda, for you guys spending your time speaking to us, and thank you for you guys for listening in to this conversation, and we hope you've enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next installment.
Amen.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Diaspora Project podcast. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and you'll stick around for the next one. If you'd like to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can find us on our website, www.thediasporaproject.co.uk, or you can find us on our social media pages. On Instagram, we are at thediaspora.project. TikTok, we are at the Diaspora Project. And on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, we are the Diaspora Project. Thank you again, and we will see you next time.